walking through a ghost town. Y'all ain't playing my sounds. Don't tell me to calm down. Don't tell me to calm down. Only time I go backwards is when I wanna moonwalk. Don't test me, my mood's wrong. Don't test me, my mood's wrong. We are who we say that we are. You were lost in the stars, and it's all from the start. Never running no pace, never on the right page, but we still read that book, and we still run that race. Ay, Mississippi Racer riding out, no shortcuts, no time for that. Mississippi Racer riding out till the wheels fall off. I'm driving that. Mississippi Racer riding out, we'll stop burning, strike the match. Mississippi Racer riding out, red light, green light, red light, good night. Ay, red light, green light, red light, good night. 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 Time to chill, don't sweat it.
I feel like I'm not on.
The morning show powered by Wire to Wire Network. Thank you so much for making us part of your morning routine. We are live right now. In a minute, you're going to see us both over here in the TikTok universe. Mo is getting his end set up right now. But we appreciate you guys popping in and joining us here on Friday morning. We haven't abbreviated this show this morning. We're going to be here for about 30 minutes with you guys, just kind of getting you your end of the week news and getting you set up and getting you off and started on your weekend. But fear not, because we will, of course, be back here Monday morning doing this all over again. If you are on the TikTok side, we got Mo coming up onto the screen right now. Hang on, Mo. Let me make you bigger. You're down there all teeny tiny. Teeny tiny Mo. We don't like a teeny tiny Mo. There we go. Now we got Mo. We'll get his camera on, and we're officially going to get things started here this morning. So, Mo, big night last night. It was the return of football. Yes, it was the preseason, but it was still football, which is what we all wanted to see. Now, Mo, we're not going to talk much about the game. 21-17 victory that did not even see its conclusion played because of inclement weather. But, Mo, what we did get to see is the kickoff. And I think that's the thing that a lot of people wanted to actually look at in live action, was what the heck is this new kickoff going to look like? And Mo, I have to say, I don't think it's horrible. I think that there is potential there. When you see it happen live, what the first thing you notice is that everyone is basically in one line across the field, that there's not enough time for them to stretch out vertically. They're still very much horizontal, which means if you get a quality kick returner back there, he might be one cut miss away from taking it to the house every time. Because once he gets past that line, the only person stopping him is the kicker at that point, because the kicker is the only person deeper up the field.
Correct.
Because of the way it's set up. So do I think we're going to get a lot of what we saw last night, which was tackles, between the 22 and the 26-yard line? Sure, I think we're going to get a lot of those. But, Mo, I also think we are going to see a spike in kick returns for touchdowns, because before you had to make one guy miss, but you also had to make a couple of other guys miss, and then you had to get past the kicker, and then you could take it to the house. With this, we saw it a couple of times last night. You make the first guy miss, I don't think anyone else is going to be there to stop you besides the kicker.
I was thinking the same thing. The way it's set up now, I admit, when I first saw it, as it played out, it looks so weird. It looked like they're cheating. It doesn't look right. But to your point, they're already engaged. It literally looks like it's like linemen engaging each other. You get a talented kick returner, and you get a guy who's a special teams guru who can figure out a couple of like little tricks of the trade. You're going to see more long kick returns. You're going to see more touchdowns. So I think it does invite excitement back into the game. And because they're so closely engaged, I think it cuts down on injury potential as well.
Yeah, no longer, Mo, are we going to see guys sprinting down the field at full speed and then colliding with people who are waiting for them to initiate that contact. You saw it multiple times last night. They're 5 yards away from each other. There's no one's getting a head start. It's a slow jog to engage. And then if you're on the kicking team, you're trying to engage and then disengage. And basically, like a lineman, you're trying to shed your blocker, because once you lock up, you're not running past anyone at that point.
Right.
And if you're on the kick cover or the kick return team, you're trying to just keep your guy in front of you and just hope that the return man behind you sees a hole and can just slip through. Because again, if he slips through a hole, it's the kicker or nobody. There is no one upfield to stop that from going to the house. So I hope these kickers got a little Pat McAfee in them, because I think we're going to see a lot more kicker tackles this season as well.
I'm glad you put that in there, because I think this also may very well change the kicking game. You're going to have you might have to get to the point where you have a kicker who's your actual kicker, and then you've got a kicker who's the kickoff team kicker who can actually tackle people. Like right. It might change the game a little bit, because the way they have to go up now, Chris, they can't go 90 miles an hour. They actually have to stay in their lanes and kind of engage and then disengage so that they can contain their lanes. Because like you said, one missed tackle and it's to the house.
News coming out of training camp. It's not a super serious injury, but I think it's the first significant player of note injury coming out of training camp, and that is DeAndre Hopkins in Tennessee. He is going to miss 4 to 6 weeks with a knee injury. 4 weeks is going to put him basically at week 1 of the NFL season. If he plays week 1, obviously he won't be at 100%. 6 weeks is going to put him at missing a couple of weeks into the NFL season. And Mo, this is coming for a Tennessee Titans team who we have talked about numerous times here on the morning show. We're not convinced of their wide receiver core. I don't care how hyped up Tennessee fan wants to be. For those of you who do not follow Tennessee Titans football, DeAndre Hopkins is part of a trio that is him, Calvin Ridley, and Tyler Boyd. And then, of course, they have Treylon Burks over there as well. Their recent high-round draft pick, who looks to be subjected to being the 4th wide receiver on this team this season, when it wasn't that long ago that he was the number 2 to the A.J. Brown number 1. Man, I mean, Mo, looking at this team and looking at their wide receiver group, I think Hopkins, when healthy, is probably your best move the sticks receiver. Him and Keenan Allen. I think they're 1-1A as far as your 3rd and 8. You need a possession guy that's going to take a shot over the middle. That's going to make a tough contested catch and is going to get you 11 on a 3rd and 8. I think that is what Hopkins has turned into. He's also still going to be a great jump ball guy in the corner of the end zone, because he has the athleticism and he has the height. I don't think DeAndre Hopkins was ever a true burner. He had good speed when he was younger, but he was never like a Tyreek Hill, take the top off the defense, explosive kind of guy. He was always more of he can beat you with a move and get separation and make a great catch and go up and high point the ball kind of guy, but he's lost some of that with his injury. Now, you look at the other 2 wide receivers on that team. Calvin Ridley couldn't catch anything in Jacksonville last season. That's why he's no longer there. He was an emerging superstar in Atlanta before the gambling issue. And then Tyler Boyd has been a number 3 in Cincinnati. He was a number 2 before Higgins arrived, and he was serviceable as a number 2, but I think he is overall a quality number 3. And then we don't really know what we have in Treylon Burks. But, Mo, isn't the bigger issue in all of this the one thing I haven't talked about yet? And that is the guy who is throwing them the football.
Correct. I'm thinking what you're thinking. A lot is being made of the receiving core, and I'm with you on D-Hop. I don't think D-Hop is a number 1 anymore, but I think he has value because he's kind of, if you want to call it regress, he's regressed to a Keenan Allen-like player, right? He can move the sticks, can high point the ball, has great hands, has incredible value in the red zone. So he has great value still. But I don't think they have an actual number 1. But more importantly, to your point, I don't know if they have a legitimate quarterback. I don't know enough about Levis. What I've seen of him is I've seen the highs and I've seen a lot of lows. I don't know that he's the guy. And I think that this season will go a lot further in letting us know what he is and isn't. I know a lot of Tennessee Titan fans are excited about what he could be. I would tell Titans fans to temper their expectations. I would just say that. I don't know if Levis is going to have the breakout Jordan Love season, right? Going to be like Jordan Love was down the stretch of last year. And I also look at Tennessee and go, look at the run game. You're bringing in Tony Pollard, who kind of looked like a shell of himself. I just don't know what they're going to be offensively. And I'm looking at that division. That's a tough division. The Titans look to me like they're the worst team in that division. And that's just being respectful. Look at the division. That's a good division. Who are they better than in that division? And if it's a quarterback-driven league, who is their quarterback better than?
And that's the real question is when you're taking any team in the NFL, the first question you have to say is where are we at quarterback and where do we stack up in our division? And usually if you're 1 or 2, you got yourself a chance, right? If you're in the 3rd slot, you're not looking great. If you're potentially in the basement of your division with your quarterback, you're not making the playoffs. And that's where Tennessee is. Say what you want when it comes to that division with CJ Stroud and Trevor Lawrence. Some people have Stroud 1. Some people have Lawrence 1. Personally, I have Lawrence number 1. I have Stroud number 2. But that's not the point of this conversation. Where do you have Will Levis? I don't think he's better than Anthony Richardson. And then honestly, I don't think he's better than Anthony Richardson's backup, who we just saw take a team to the playoffs last season with the Cleveland Browns, and that being Joe Flacco. So I think he's the 5th best quarterback in that division.
That's scary.
Because I would take Flacco this season over Will Levis. Now, obviously, Flacco is at the end of his career and Levis is at the beginning of his career. So if you're talking, are we starting a team for the next 10 years? No, I'm not taking Flacco. But you're talking this season alone, I would take Flacco over Levis in a heartbeat.
The scary part is Richardson is basically a rookie, right?
Yeah.
He only played 3 or 4 games. This is his rookie season, and you still say he's better than Levis. And I agree. Joe Flacco might be on the other side of his prime, but what we saw from him last year, I didn't see anything close to that from Will Levis. Look, again, I'm not bombing on Tennessee Titans fans. I'm just saying it's a fair point to point out that you have more question marks at the quarterback position more than any other position.
And you're looking at a wide receiver group where you don't have the alpha. You don't have a Justin Jefferson or a Jamar Chase or a Tyreek Hill or a CeeDee Lamb where you can just be like, listen, Will, get him the ball in space and let him work, right? Like get him a one-on-one. Let's scheme a one-on-one matchup for Jamar Chase and just get the ball near him and he'll figure it out and he'll bring it in, 4 times out of 5 or 3 times out of 5, whatever it is. That's not the situation that you're looking at. You're looking at a guy with Calvin Ridley who he has take the top off the defense speed.
He does.
He just don't got hands. His hands are what betrays Calvin Ridley. And then you're looking at 2 other guys that don't have stretch the field speed. They're more possession receivers. D-Hop, obviously a better receiver than Boyd. Then you look at the other weapons on the team. You got Tony Pollard, who we know he's not a 1. We know he's not a 1. We saw in Dallas last year that he isn't a 1. He's your top running back. I think Spears is their backup. He did some decent things when he was spelling relief last year for Derrick Henry. But you look a lot different when you're spelling relief for Derrick Henry as opposed to spelling relief for Tony Pollard. No offense to Spears. And then they got a nice young tight end in Okinawa, I believe his name is. But he's not by any means a top 10 or top 15 tight end in the league. So you're looking at his skill set on offense and his hands guys and his weapons on the offensive side of the football. It's not great. It's average. There's some potential there, Mo. But a lot of this is going to be, can Will Levis make some plays? Can Will Levis stand in there and take some shots and move the ball down the field? Can Will Levis show anticipation this season and throw some guys open that may not be open? And maybe he can. Maybe they come out of here as an 8 or 9 win team. But at the end of the day, I still don't see playoffs.
I don't see playoffs either, and that would be a big leap for Will Levis to be able, because what I saw from him last year, Chris, was he was the quarterback that he didn't let the ball loose until he saw a receiver open.
Correct, and then it's too late.
And it's too late. You have to be able to anticipate. You have to have the ability to throw guys open. That's about timing. That's about confidence and arm talent. And I don't know if he has any of the three just yet.
One of the big stories coming out this morning, it's not really a story, it's more of a question, is can the 2024 Bears follow the blueprint of the 2023 Texans? You're looking at a young quarterback, you're looking at young receivers, you're looking at a very young, talented side on the offense, and you're looking at an improved defense. Mo, I think it's a fun conversation to have. I think it's an interesting conversation to have. But I will say the biggest piece that is missing, and probably the most important piece that is missing, is that the Bears don't have DeMeco Ryans. I think that is a lot
That's a good point.
Of what happened with the Houston Texans. Obviously, CJ Stroud played lights out for the majority of the season. And maybe Caleb Williams will do that as well. Maybe Caleb Williams will also have a great rookie season. But I look at the head coach and I look at what he did with the Houston Texans last year. And then I look at the fact that the Bears still have Eberflus as their head coach. And I think he is just a placeholder until a better name comes along. I think that's why he still has his job, because they didn't think a better name was going to come along last season or this offseason. So no, I don't think they're going to replicate, because in order to be the 2023 Texans, they have to do what? Win the division, make the playoffs. Like, what is that? Is that the standard? Because they're not winning their division. The Lions are going to run away with that division, I believe. And I don't think they're making the playoffs. So if that's the standard we're looking at, then no, they can't be the 2023 Texans.
Which is interesting, right? Because if you listen to so many of the other pundits out there, they're saying like, well, they're going to make the playoffs. They believe the Bears are a playoff team. And I like what they did in the offseason, because they basically said, you're a rookie quarterback, you're a franchise quarterback. We believe they already slotted him with all the weapons he could ever want at the skill positions. They even made they did some things to improve the offensive line. I don't know what they'll be defensively. They do have some talented players on that side of the ball, but offensively, they could be a talented offense. But here's the question: he's still a rookie quarterback. Yeah. I get it. He has all the talent in the world, but their projections, what they're saying is he is going to have a better rookie year than CJ Stroud. And you and I both said the kind of rookie year CJ Stroud had, that's a one of one. It might be the greatest rookie season by any quarterback. Not just his numbers, but the success that they had in year one. And I think a lot of that is DeMeco Ryans. I think a lot of that is, he's a rookie quarterback. We don't question his arm talent. Teams have to make adjustments. Teams will adjust. Caleb Williams is coming in with so much fanfare, with so much hype. If he's half of what they say he is, then they're going to make the playoffs. I just don't know that they're going to make the playoffs that quick, because every rookie quarterback, even CJ Stroud, had his moments. You hit a wall, but they were able to push through. What they pointed out about the Texans was the Texans were awful on first and second down all year long. And somehow CJ Stroud was able to bail them out in third and long. That doesn't happen on a regular basis. That is a strange occurrence, especially by a rookie quarterback. I think they've done a lot to set Caleb Williams up for success if you look at the names and the talent they've added. But I'm with you. I don't know if Eberflus is the guy going forward that is the leader of men that can set them up for success and live up to his hype, where people are like, it's the Bears and the Packers and the Lions fighting for that division. And I'm like, no, it's the Lions going to win the division. And I think the Packers and the Bears are probably close, but I would give the edge to the Packers. I don't know what Caleb Williams is going to be, but to assume that right out the box, he's going to lead them to the playoffs, I just don't see it. I think that's a stretch.
And again, I don't like Matt Eberflus as their head coach. I don't think he's nearly the coach that DeMeco Ryans is, because DeMeco Ryans created a culture in Houston from day one. And I don't think that same culture is happening in Chicago. Not saying it's a toxic culture by any stretch. I just think it's different. And also, Mo, let's not forget, this team has never, I said never, they have never had a 4,000-yard passing quarterback. I think that changes this season. But you're not looking at a team and being like, oh, in recent years, the Bears haven't really been an offensive. No, the Bears have never been an offensive juggernaut. They've never. And by the way, 4,000 yards passing in the NFL in 2024 is not an offensive juggernaut. It is kind of, you got a good quarterback. It's not even a great quarterback. It's you got a good quarterback if your quarterback passed for 4,000 yards. If he passed for over 4,500, now we're getting into some new territory. They've never even done it once. So do I think their offense is going to look better? I think it's going to be head and shoulders better. But when you got the Lions and the Packers, and I still don't like Jordan Love with the Packers, but I still think they can win 8 or 9 games. When you're looking at an 8 or 9 win team in the Packers, and you're looking at the Lions, who I think can win 12 or 13 games, I think you might lose all 4 games to them. That's 4 losses right there. Maybe you'll take both games from Minnesota, but it's your division. So maybe you split those. If the Minnesota gets you early, that's 5 losses in division. Now what are we doing outside of division? I think their ceiling is 7 or 8 wins. Ceiling. And that's not making the playoffs.
And to me, I don't think that's bad. A rookie quarterback in year one, bad. If you have 7 wins and he shows you that he can be the guy, that's a great first season. And that's something to build off of. This, I just think the hype and talking about it's a disappointment if they don't make the playoffs, that's insanity. I think realistically, 7 or 8 wins, I could see that happening for Chicago. I really can. But a playoff, I don't see a playoff berth. I just don't. That division it's too tight. I think there's a separation, obviously, from Detroit and the rest of the division. But when you look at what the Bears are and what the Packers are, that could go back and forth. But I think the Packers are a little bit better.
Well, we're gonna do something that we don't do very often, and that is we're gonna talk Major League Baseball without JG.
Wow.
I know we don't do this. We don't do this.
We don't do it.
But it was announced yesterday Mike Trout is out for the rest of the year.
That's again.
You're looking at a guy, and I got the numbers here in front of me. Trout debuted in Major League Baseball at 19 years old. Not many people know that. From 2012 to 2016. 4 of those years, he played 157 games or more. His first full season in Major League Baseball, he played 139. 2017 was his first major injury. He only played 114 games that year, but he bounced back the following 2 years, playing 140 and 134. But he dealt with injuries in both of those seasons. Because again, a guy like Mike Trout, you're looking for 150 plus games. That's usually what a healthy star of your team is going to play. He did that from 13 all the way through 16, that 4-year span. 18 and 19, he didn't go over 140 either year, 140 and 134. Then we had the COVID year in 2020. And then you look at his last 4 years, the guy can't stay healthy. 36 games in 2021, 82 games in 2023, 29 games in 2024. His best season out of this was 2022. He had 40 home runs in 2022, Mo, but he didn't even play 120 games. He missed, 45 plus games that season. So you're looking at a guy that basically since 2016, I mean, he played 140. So we'll be fair. Let's say since 2018, where he played 140, this guy on a regular basis is missing 30 plus games a season. And the last 4 years, it's basically been half a season or more every season due to these injuries. He's only 32 years old, but man, I think we're getting close.
He's 32 years old, but when you list all the different injuries he's had and the time he's missed, I feel like his body is older than his age. What I know about Mike Trout, great player. Let's start off with that. Nobody's going to deny how great a player he is, how gifted a player he is. And it's unfortunate he's been with an organization that hasn't been as good as he's been. The problem is, though, like you said, look, he can't stay healthy, But I always want to be fair to players. It's not like he plans to get injured.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, so when people go, oh, that guy can't. No, he got injured, but he's an incredible player. I look at him and I go back to a really old school player. When I see him play, he goes all out. His balls to the wall, he goes all out. But he doesn't have the durability of a Pete Rose. Pete Rose was like that, but he was an Iron Man. Like
Cal Ripken.
Cal Ripken, an Iron Man. It's just one of those kind of things where the health gods, they don't love Mike Trout. I don't know why that is. What I do know, though, is looking at things going forward, when it's all said and done, do I question whether or not Mike Trout's going to be in the Hall of Fame? I don't. No. I don't question that. He's going to be in the Hall of Fame. But if you're a fan of baseball the way you and JG and others are, and I admit I am a casual baseball fan, you're going to look at his career in a bigger picture and go, it's kind of wanting, right? You're kind of lacking because you never saw that his moment in the postseason, right, where he could have taken his team to another level. And again, I'm not putting that on him. Someone said to me last night, a friend said, "Isn't Mike Trout somewhat like Kawhi Leonard?" And I was like, yeah, I guess you can make that distinction. They're both terrific players, but what we're always talking about, he's hurt again. He's hurt. I look, it is what it is. There's some people that the sports gods shine on health-wise, like a Tom Brady, like someone like Derrick Henry as a running back for the better part of his career. And then there are other guys, for whatever reason, a Mike Trout, somebody like Tracy McGrady or anyone. It just doesn't work out. But I think I'm looking at the Angels, and it's a team that obviously it looks like they're in flux, that they need to make some changes. Do you think, let me ask you this, he gets healthy again, will Mike Trout finish his career with the Angels?
Yeah, I mean, the money they owe him, they'd have to pay all that money. I mean, the best thing the Angels can do is maybe they move him and pay a bunch of his money and try to get him on a contender and, hope that he can win a title before his career ends as like a good gesture kind of thing.
Right. That's what I was thinking.
Aside from, I don't think he's going to want to leave. I think he wants to be there. Maybe he finds himself on the Dodgers. Maybe that's what it sounds ridiculous, but I mean, if you're the Angels and you're trying to give this guy a chance to win a title before he retires, and I think it's getting closer than we think it is, maybe that's where we end up. I don't see a lot of trade value for him because of the injuries. He would have to play a whole season. He would have. At 30, you see baseball players. He's gonna be 33. So in his 33 season, if he plays, 145 games, 150 games, hits 35, 40, 45 home runs, drives in 120 runs, and stays healthy, different conversation. Now we're saying, okay, he did that at 33. Can we get 2 more years out of him? 34, 35. Maybe he transitions to a DH at 36. Now you got some value again. But when you're looking at it and you're saying, well, can we move him? And you're looking at 3 of the last 4 years where he hasn't even played 85 games. You can't do it. You can't do it.
Fair.
All right, last 2 things we're going to talk about this morning, Mo. We're going to touch a little NBA stuff. First things first, the Cleveland Cavaliers sign Allen to a 3-year, $91 million extension. Do you like the deal? Do you like the money?
Look, the money and the deal are fair. What I don't, and I like Jared Allen as a player. I keep telling people I'm a fan of Jared Allen. I don't like their roster construction. I don't see how that works with Allen and Mobley. In this current NBA, you can't have both of your bigs only be effective in the restricted area. Somebody's got to be able to space the floor and shoot from the perimeter, and neither one of them that can do that with any kind of consistency. And I think that's going to be what always limits what this current core can do. So I have nothing against Jared Allen. I just thought the Cavs would try to make some moves to make their roster more balanced, and they didn't do that.
Remember, they early in the offseason, early in free agency, they said the goal was to bring the band back, to keep the band together.
They did
and at the time, Mo, you said, I don't know if they should keep the band together because I don't think the current band is going to get them where they want to go.
I don't think
they kept the band together.
Yeah, this is not the right band to keep together. And again, every single one of these players I like. I like Evan Mobley, but I don't like Evan Mobley with Jared Allen. That doesn't work. More importantly, that doesn't work in postseason basketball. It doesn't. You cannot have two bigs who are zero range players and expect to go on a deep run, period.
Other piece of NBA news, Gordon Hayward announces his retirement, Mo. Gordon Hayward is a player that at times was viewed as a piece in the NBA, and then at times was just a guy. Looking back at his career, I believe it was 14 seasons in the NBA. What are we going to think when we hear the name Gordon Hayward 2 or 3 years from now, kind of reflecting back at what he was through his decade and a half career?
As a basketball fan, all I can tell you is Gordon Hayward was a talented player, and his career was on the uptick. He makes the move to go to Boston. He gets a big contract from the Celtics. Do you not remember game one, the very first game of the season? Horrific injury. And he never came back from that injury. He came back to the NBA, but he was never the same Gordon. He was not the same player. Gordon Hayward was a terrific basketball player. That injury altered the trajectory of his career. It did. He was going to be a multiple-time All-Star, and he just never came back. He bounced around. I think last year he was on the Thunder, but he really didn't have any impact on that team. When I think of Gordon Hayward's career, I'm just going to go, what could have been?
I agree. Again, he was someone coming out of college where it looked like the stars were there, and he signs that deal in Boston. And you think this is it because they're putting together a team, and the injury happens. And like you said, there's a difference between coming back and actually coming back. And he wasn't the same when he returned from the injury. All right, Mo, that is it for an abbreviated Friday here on Coffee and Sports. Take us to the end, sir.
Fun week, everybody. Appreciate you guys so much for tuning in, listening to Chris and I this morning. Make sure you check out all the great content at Wire to Wire Network. Wire to Wire Network, we appreciate you.
Make sure you guys are back here Monday morning. We'll have all the news from the weekend, and we will get you ready for your week. All that and more. Coffee and Sports. It's the morning show powered by Wire to Wire Network, and we'll see all